important that I keep my eyes on the road, so you'll have to forgive me for not looking at you. So we're on the way to Rosehill now, which is a farm that we have mentioned quite a lot in previous videos. So we rent a bit of land and we also own a bit of land over there that we usually use for silage mostly. However,
lately we've started putting cattle over here and it's been so good, and it means that we can keep cattle out for a bit longer. My dad put in some seed at the start of the summer, so we're just running them on that to like clear it up, and then it will come through really nice in spring then. But they do need to be moved today before they make a mess, and one thing we do not want this time of year, it's so easy to make a mess. They'll make a mess really quickly, so today's job is to move them before that happens. And I would just like to say that I've tried a new moisturiser today that's made me really shiny.
So if you think Josie's turning into the moon,
if I'm bouncing off the light. So you've just turned off down to where the fields are. It's very beautiful. So very lucky where we live. Our job is lovely on a day like today. So we're just going to get to the fields now. See you in a minute. So we're just en route now to the field the calves are in. Josie's carrying like 50 steaks.
I was just readjusting.
So across the way there, that is some of the land, and that's over in Rosehill. So the one you can see there is where the cattle have just come from. So that is also seed that Dad has put in this season. And then just next to it is another field that we have, and then obviously we're in one here as well. Try and say the name of the one the cattle have just come from without singing. Waterloo. Oh, it's hard. But yeah, so these are all used for silage, and then obviously now all our cuts of silage are finished. So this grass does just grow really quietly through the winter, so it's nice just to be able to graze it off a little bit. Yeah, and actually the grass is bouncing up. It's actually been really good grass growing weather lately, but even if we want to do silage, there's no way. It's just been so wet. I'm sure everyone's Yeah, you'd never get like machines on here. Like having animals on here and machines are two very, very different things.
And like my dad said, what you save in the winter, what you take in the winter, you lose in spring.
You absolutely nailed that first time. But yeah, it is very true. Like with Rosehill, it's not so much of a worry because we're not grazing the cows over here, but of course we do still need the land for silage, so we have to be a bit careful with what we take. But yeah, so that's just a glimpse of some of the land we have here. Dad's put a lot of work into the fields to get them looking the way they do. They are looking really nice and lush and green at the moment, so that's really nice to see. Personally, I think Josie's struggling a bit with all those steaks.
No, the worst of the steaks is they all fly off in different directions.
Yeah.
Like those two down there just trying to swing to the right and just like sticking with round silly steaks.
The field there you can see now just to the right of that big one is called the church field. We'll give you one guess as to why it might be called that. But yeah, it's a beautiful view from where we are now. And yeah, nearly there. So just thought we'd show you the grass in this field. So this again would have done the last cut of silage. So as Josie said, the growing weather has been really good. So you can see now it's really, really nice lush grass that's come back.
But like you can see, we ran the cattle across this field to get to where they are. So we put a fence up to avoid them running down to the bottom. But you can see all they did was run across, and like you can see their foot marks. So they've literally run across here once and they've made dents into the field.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why we're not going to be putting them in here and why we're not doing another cut. I mean, the grass is too short a minute for another cut, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. Like the most they might do if they're lucky is have a little graze almost on their way back home, but we're definitely not going to be pushing it now. Sometimes it's good to do a bit of grazing if you can throughout the winter just to keep feeding the soil. Like you find a lot of farmers, and we in the past have had like tack sheep or straw lambs or something like that, because it is good to try and keep the grass down and feed the soil. But yeah, there's also the line of you don't want to cause compaction and you don't want to ruin it either, so it's a fine line. Still learning a lot off our dad with stuff like that. As everyone knows, he's very knowledgeable and He often gets sheep in if he thinks,
reminding us.
yeah, if he thinks it needs it, he will sort that out. So yeah, we've arrived.
We've arrived to the field where the cows are.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, all you can see there is the sunshine.
We'd love to do this as a musical, so like me and Poppy would sing like everything we're doing, but we're just not allowed.
Well, actually, we could sing if it was our own original.
Yeah, if we use
content.
original songs.
Go on then.
I'm in the field with the cows. We're gonna put a fence up so they don't break out. Are you gonna
break
come?
out? What?
Are you gonna come?
I'm gonna come with you, my friend. I'm gonna come with you. Right, anyway. Right, so the sun is beautiful, which does mean you can't really see the cattle.
I'm so glad I've got my SPF 50 moisturiser on.
Yeah.
So basically we got very distracted. So basically the
Just
cows...
to clarify before we start, Josie isn't getting paid to sponsor this SPF moisturiser that she's
I'm really not.
She just started using.
No, I'm really not.
Right, go on.
So basically these calves here, so they're about just over a year old. And we've brought them over here just so they can last out a bit longer. Like I said, my dad reseeded this at the start of summer. So I think he just wants to, like, it's just a good field for them to clear off. So I think if it wasn't for the fact it was quite wet, they could actually last where they are now for another 2 days. But like we keep saying, they'll make a mess very quickly. So we're going to move them today. But because this isn't a grazing field, it's always been a silage field, or like in the past it's been a cornfield as well. There's no fence going along there at all. And there's actually a stream going down with our hedges. There's a stream going through, meets down the bottom. Yeah, so basically we just don't want them in the stream. We don't want them in the hedge. They'll end up in a different field somewhere. And obviously we just don't really want that.
We just don't want that hassle. Yeah, no. Like they would end up going into the field there that we just walk through, and then goodness knows where they'd be.
So we're going to fence it. So we're going to use an electric fence. As you can see, they're trained on electric fence. They just stood there now, not coming to this side because...
They're like the shadowy things you can see. There we go. Just in case you're like, what is she pointing at?
So actually our devil calves, they have broke out once this term, but...
Touch wood.
Yeah.
They ran over here very well. So yeah, they're really good off electric. So Josie's going to start putting that fence up.
Yeah,
we bought another solar panel with us, and that is what's going to provide the fence with electric. And yeah, they won't touch it then. They'll be absolutely fine. And obviously they've got plenty of nice grass to be munching on, so there's no reason for them to be unhappy.
I think that is like key this time of year to stop them doing anything naughty, is just to really keep on top of them and make sure they're happy. Like this time of year, they're not going to graze as tight. They're not going to be as satisfied. Like obviously they're really happy when the sun's shining on the back, which it is today. But on a wet day, they're going to be a bit like sad.
Yeah.
So I think it's just making sure you stay on top of them before they want to like do something silly like crash into a fence.
Definitely, like we're expecting worse weather this time of year, like strong winds, rain. So yeah, it's just a lot more important that we're always on top of them through the summer, of course, as well. But you've got a bit more leeway to play with, whereas now Lottie's absolutely loving life. As you can see, there's a lot of lovely trees here. It's beautiful bit of forestry, which the calves actually will help a lot, just to keep it back a bit without actually damaging it or causing any disturbance to the forestry. But yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. And as Josie said, there's a river then going down there, and they won't be able to mess with that at all. So you can see the very distinct difference. That's what they've grazed, and that's what they're going to come on to. As Josie said, in the summer you could definitely leave them there for another 2 days, but because of the conditions, we're just not going to. Like you can see there, it's quite wet. But what we've basically done is split the field roughly in half. So they've had grazed half there, and then they've got about half to go on to, and it is really nice quality. So yeah, they'll be really happy in here now for another few days. So the fence is up. We've just put it along the bottom hedge. So Pops has just put it on electric. So it's really important we put it on electric. Without electric, they'd be alright for about half a day. Yeah, not long. And then because they graze around it, they just pick up so quickly that it's not on electric, and that's when they chew it and then it breaks and all sorts can happen. So we've got a solar panel. You can see it's clicking on the fence and on earth. Are you going to test it with your fingers?
Absolutely not.
So what's left to do now? So now it's just a case of them coming in here. So in this field, as we've mentioned a few times, we've never grazed in here before, so it's not really set up for grazing. The only problem is they've only got one water tank, and it is up past that fence there. So annoyingly, we are going to have to keep them coming up this way to be able to drink water. So what we'll do is we'll let them on in, and then we'll sort their water out afterwards. So we are back fencing them, so they're not going to go back over what they've been on, but they will have to sort of, like Poppy said, go back over the bit where the water trough is. But this is also an electric. Just like leave a nice bit of grazing almost on their way to the water tank, so that they're not walking over too much of what they've already grazed. And this time of year they won't need as much water as if it was like middle of summer. Are you all excited to be moved? This is Flubber. She is, there's a cow called Poppy, she's her granddaughter. So we've got a mixture of Frisian heifers and then Herefords. So all the Frisians are heifers. And then, oh, she's obviously on heat. And then the Herefords are our beef cattle then. So she's taken it off electric so she doesn't get a shock. And now she is just going to reel it in. Lots, come behind then. Lottie's obsessed with taking fences up. Okay, they've seen it and they're off. Just go for a little run in case we by mistake turn them back in. Run away from us. There we are, and they're in. And we know that they're not going to go flying through the woods because we've put a fence up. So you can tell when they're hungry. If they were hungry, they would have come in and just put their heads straight down, like they would have done absolutely no running. Whereas for this time of year, we don't love it when they do this. But they are just going to go for a little trot. We call it the jog of happiness.
We've never called it that.
So as Poppy said, we're now going to put it up, back up, but the other side of the water trough, so they don't have this bit, but they have water. Poppy's just pulling it tight because we can't see them. We don't want them to go through the back fence.
I want them to at least think that we've got it under control.
Yeah. We don't have enough stakes. Luckily there's a fence up in that field where we ran them across to get them in here. So she's zooming, zooming, zooming. Lottie's gone to help. Lottie said, "Don't you worry, girls, I'll stop them coming up here." Like, bless it, all Lottie wants to do is just work. Oh, I nearly just sang a song. Like, this is what we mean. Like, this fence is not on electric now. And for some reason, those three calves, Flubber, Poppy's granddaughter, being one of them, has just jumped into this side that they've already grazed for some unknown reason, because they're absolute devil calves, is exactly what they are. So yeah, I'm not sure why they felt the need to do that. Lottie. Idiots! Don't like to call them things. Stay there. Stay there. Stay. Let's show everyone how pretty you are. Ah, you little rotter. Sit. Sit. Stay. Stay. Good girl.
This electric panel was the other side because obviously they were here when we arrived. I'm going to put it the other side of the fence. Although it's given them an electric shock, this box and stand isn't, because it all comes off the box. And the actual shock comes off just this little red switch which is on the fence. So if you left this in with them, they would end up chewing the leads, knocking it off the stand, knocking it off the fence. So you just put it away from them. So there's an electric fence in between.
Oh, she's putting it on the wrong way.
Yeah, we're not concentrating. I'm so embarrassed.
You're so embarrassed.
And then I'm just going to put it on here. Make sure this is on. And voila.
Yeah, so of course it's very important that's on electric as well. Obviously if they went through it, they would be back on this side, which in some ways wouldn't be the end of the wheel, but then obviously everything we're doing to protect the grass would basically be wasted because they'd just be running all over it again.
So you can see where they've been like going up and down. Not a huge amount, but you could tell like...
That could easily get out of
If you were here, you
hand.
probably can't tell on the camera, but if you were here, you could see grazing wise, they could have easily done another day, especially in this weather. But the issue is you just can't.
There's a fine line between that and that.
And it happens like that. And what you take in the winter, you lose in the spring.
Nice, you're getting better every time.
So what I've just done...
Are you showing off your new moisturiser as well?
So yeah, we basically just exposed the water trough. So I don't know if you can quite see it on camera.
Yeah.
But it's just there up against the fence. So obviously inevitably they're going to make a bit of a mess around the water trough, partly because there's water there obviously, and then they're all going to stand around, drink and socialise.
And water's like a constant, isn't it? Like they'll come up here at
they
least
have
twice
to
a
drink
day.
water, like plenty. So what we try and do is give them enough space so that they're not all crammed and making more mess in a smaller space. But then also we're not going to bring the fence way too wide because then they'd be making a mess in more of the field than they need to. So we've just gone just past the trough to give them enough room to stand round it. And then yeah, just straight back down then to the back fence.
And they will inevitably like make a bit of a track walking up and down to the tank, but that's inevitably that's
inevitable.
That's inevitable.
Josie's literally in school today. What you take from the winter you gain in the spring. No, I said that wrong.
Naughty.
What you take in the winter you lose in the spring.
Yeah.
What you save in the winter you gain in the spring.
Yeah, exactly.
So as we're up here, I'll just show you another one of the fields over on Rose Hill. So actually the field we're on now is a rented field, so we've rented the land for about 10 years now.
Something like that.
Around that. So of course that makes it even more important that we look after it. Obviously if it was our own we'd want to look after it just as much if not more, but it being someone else's, it's important we don't make a complete mess of the land because then we could lose our contract and all sorts. So that's one of the rented fields, and then so is this one just ahead of us here. So that is actually another one our dad has really recently reseeded. So literally he did that in the autumn. So they would never be able to go and graze that because it's so new. They would just completely damage it. They'd have a lovely time while they were in there, but then the soil would be completely ruined and it wouldn't grow back then.
No, it needs time to come through.
That would be a classic example of what you take.
What do you think, Lottie? Nice having cattle out this time of year. Like last year our cows were still out at this time, but all of our stock were in. So, you know, you have to kind of work out what's best for you at the time, and this year we've kept stock out a bit longer and the cows are in full time, but it's nice they're out.
Well, because we've got the land over here. We've just been able to come to an agreement where we've been allowed to graze some animals this year, so it's been really nice to be able to do that. Obviously we'd never be able to graze the cows over here because it would be extremely inefficient.
Yeah, trying to get them home. So there's like a 2-mile A40 to get to the farm.
Yeah, we're about a mile
210 cows. So. What's that, like 4 lorries?
But yeah, so we're really happy with how
twice a day.
we're really happy with how everything's looking. The grass is looking really nice and fresh, and I need to get Lottie before she disappears for life. Lottie! Heel! Lottie, come to my heel! Now! My voice is echoing all over there. Oh! Heel! Sit!
What a good egg. Are you the world's best sheepdog? We laugh.
Absolutely not.
And we laugh. So we're just reversing into the cattle. So yeah, so today's video was just really to show moving the cattle from one side of the back fence to the other and how we kind of like manage it from our point of view.
Yeah, so maybe in the future we'll have our dad and he can go into a bit more depth about like the land management, reseeding and how we came about getting the land, if anyone's interested in that kind of thing. Obviously there's only, I mean, we'd learn a lot from him as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just a brief insight into some of our land over in Rosehill and the cattle we've got here this year.
Yeah.
And we hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, see you next week. Thank you.
Bye.
From a shiny face.
And a
Not a
face
shiny
that,
face.
yeah.
Mine's a little bit shinier.
Yeah.
Hi, Val. Have you got the selfie stick? Everyone have a lovely day.